Hello everyone, and welcome back to our GFG POTD streak of day 113. And if you're new to this channel, please like, share, and subscribe so that we can learn, grow, and maintain our streak together, right? So let us continue with this today's question. Today's question name is minimum days with the points four. So I hope you may have read this question, but still let me read it for you guys again. So given a string of length n consisting of lowercase alphabets, you are given permutation p of length n. So the p will be the permutation of length n only, right? That means that it will have the number starting from 0 to 4, right? That is, it says that containing integers from 0 to n minus 1, right? And there are some operations that if I plus 1 at day, in the I plus 1 at day, you can take p of I value of the permutation array and replace the s of p of I with a question mark. For example, that in the day when you can choose the index of permutation array that is I equals to 0, that implies to p of 0, and you have to change the string with the index of p of 0 with the question mark, with similarly with the day 2 and day 3, right? You can take the indexes 0, 1 and 2 in the order for day 1, 2, 3. The indexes are in 0th index order, but the days are in one index order. Okay, you have to tell the minimum number of days required such that after it, for all index I that belongs to 0 to n minus 1, if s of I is not equals to question mark, then it should be like the adjacent character should also be not equal, right? So that means that if s of I is equals to question mark, right, then okay, so if it is equals to question mark, then the equality can hold, right? If it is not, then you cannot hold the equality. If it is equal, then you can hold the equality. Okay, so I think you got the point. So let us see that how the example 1 is running. So for n equals to 4, and this is given as a b b, right? So that means, let's see what they have done. So in the day 1, it replaces the day 1 has the index as 0, right? P of 0 is pointing to 2. So what they have done, they have replaced the index 2, that is b here, with the question mark, right? And the string becomes double a question mark and b, right? Similarly for the day 2, they have changed as a question mark b. And as we can see now that for all the indexes where the s of I is not equals to question mark, then okay, I got it. Okay, so let me explain it to you. Let me explain to you in a very what's it, easy manner. So you have this string as a, b, and b, right? Let us see that what is the requirement here, and then we can think of the solution, maybe, or I say the different solutions. And you have this p, that is the days mentioned in an order, a permutation of 0 to n minus 1, that is 2, 1, 3, and 0. What they are saying is that you will have violation in the strings if s of I, let's say this is I and this is I plus 1, if that is equal, then you will have the violation, right? So you have violation is f of I is equals to s of I minus I plus 1, right? Like the adjacent character should not be equal, and there is a constraint that it should not be equals to question mark, right? This is valid only for the things, only for the characters which are not a question mark, right? So you can see that a is not a question mark, but the adjacent are equal. So there is one, this is one point of violation, and you can see that there is b, which is, so this is the second point of violation. So there are in totality 2 points of violation, right? If I just replace it this with question mark, then there would be no violation, right? Or if I just replace it here, these two as question mark, right, then there would be no violation. But this replacement that I'm doing manually to say that there should be no violation now, that is given by the day order. You have to go in this array, and then then only you can change the indexes with the question marks, right? So what this is saying, so if you're at index 2, this is saying that change the s of 2 with question mark, right? So let us change it. So it will be like a, this will be the second index, so I will say that question mark b. But I can see there is still a point of violation, right? The characters, the adjacent characters are equal, right? So what I will do, just for the next iteration. So it is saying s of 1 is equals to question mark now. So I will say that a question mark b. And now you can see there is no violation now, right? The s of the adjacent characters are nowhere equal in this string, and it's not applicable for question mark itself, right? You can see that this s of I is equals to s of I plus 1, but that is not applicable for the question mark thing, right? I hope I'm clear here. You have to see for rest of the characters, that is a doesn't have an a in its adjacent, so there is no violation. Now I will check for b, like, except the question mark symbol, I'll check for b, there is no characters either in left or either in right that is equals to b, right? So there is no violation. So the number of days we utilized is 2 here, right? Because we use 2 days here, 2 days, right? So I will say we utilize 2 days. So you have to return 2, right? So the one approach, the naive approach coming to my mind is, let us make a function that is boolean check, which will check that if there is a violation point in this string or not. So how can I do that? So a good practice is that if you want to replace this thing, any character at a string index, then you must change it into a character array. So what's the pseudocode for that? You can just write char array is equals to s dot to char array. That's the code there. You can just change it. So now the array has the characters as, it is the array and it has the characters as what? A, B, and B, right? So I will write a check function which will keep on checking if there is a violation point in my character arrays or not. So how I can write that? I can write that by just saying that there is a for loop that will go for I equals to 0, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus, right? And I will just say that if array of I, it is not applicable for question mark, right? So I will say it is not equals to question mark, it should not equals to question mark, and if array of I is equals to array of I plus 1, then that's the point of violation, right? You just return false from here, return false from here. And if there is no such point, then you will say that return true, right? So I'll keep on iterating in this p array, and I'll keep on what, changing the characters, right? This will be my first iteration. I will change the characters, and I will call the check function. If it returns true, then I will maintain just a count variable, or let's say I can just return I plus 1, because this was I equals to 0, the first iteration, right? And this was I equals to 2. So I can just say, if it returns true, then I can just say that return I plus 1. But since it has not returned true, it has returned false. So I will check for second iteration, and then check function will run, and it will actually return true for this character of this array of characters. And if it returns true, I will just say I plus 1, that is I is 1 here, I is 1 here. It will return 1 plus 1, that is 2, right? So let us code this solution, but before coding the solution, what will be the time complexity? For each and every iteration, I'm using a for loop for this p array, right? And then for each and every iteration, I'm calling a check function, which is again taking O of n time, right? So it will be, the time complexity of first for loop will be p, so it will be p into n, right? So let us see that what's the constraint given there. The p is actually n minus 1, and okay, so n is 10 power 5, so p is also 10 power 5, right? So if you just multiply it, 10 power 5 into 10 power 5, it will be 10 power 10, and which is obviously greater than 10 power 8. So our approach is right, it will give the answer, but for some of the test cases we will get TLE, right? Really, and if you're not able to understand 10 power 8 computations logic, you must watch a time complexity video which I have made in my this channel. It must be flashing up here now, you must visit it. And that's the reason, guys, my videos are sometimes long, because I explain each and everything, like how you should think in an interview, right? So it's already 8 minutes, but still we will code this approach, and then we'll see what's the optimization in there. So be ready, maybe the video will go beyond 20 minutes or maybe 25 minutes. So if you're ready to learn, just dedicate your some time, and you will eventually be going good in the long run. So let's start the coding section now. And to efficiently utilize the time, you must like do make your switch your time to 1x, 1.5x or 2x when while I'm coding, as well as while I'm explaining. It will be good for you guys. So let's make a character array first of all, because we need to do some manipulations on it, right? So I will say array is equals to s. Let me see, the recording is, yeah, it is going on. So I'll convert it to char array, and let me just remove this bar here. Yeah, great. Since we have called the function parenthesis is required, so what I will say, that if there is no point of violations in my current string, right, in my current string, then I will just say that you return true, or let's say you have to return 0, that there is no number of days required to be checked for. So I will say here, so let's make a this check function. So I will say static boolean check, and I will pass the character array here, char array, right? And I'll just need a for loop, that is for int I equals to 0, I less than what, array dot length minus 1. Why minus 1? Because we are comparing the ith index with I plus 1, right? So you have to take care of that it do not go out of bound, right? So if array of I is not equals to question mark, because it is not applicable for this thing, right? The constraint. So if array of I is equals to array of I plus 1, then I simply say that return false. You have the violation point and you need to fix it again. You fix it and then you come back again, use this check function, and I will say that it's true or false, right? So that is it. That's where our checks function works. So we do not need to maintain a count variable also. We'll just return I plus 1 for that. So let's iterate in our P array. So I will say I less than n I plus plus, right? So I will say that let's change the array because if there would have been no violation, then the line number 70 would have taken care and have returned 0. So I have to change with the first day because there is some violation. Then only I am going in this for loop, and I will say if so I will change the I'll use the first day index, and I will use that index to change the character in my character array, right? In my character array which have all the characters of string. So after changing it, I need to check it again. That go and check again. So if there is a violation again, then what you have to do? You have to, if it is true, right? Then you have to return I plus 1. Else, what you have to do? You don't have to do anything, iterate for the next things, right? And at last we will just say that let's say return n. At the worst case, maybe using all the iterations, then also the violation did not get resolved, then you have to say that we don't know, man, how many days will be required, right? So return n, or let's say you can return any integer that's not required, right? Because it says that you have an answer, right, for the minimum days. So let us compile and run, and we will see for ourselves. And again, the time complexity will be here. This for loop is running for O of p, that is 10 power 5, and that is for 10 power O power n. So it will be p into n. So there's one spelling mistake, return I plus 1. So let us quickly fix that error and compile again. Okay, so there are some more errors. Let me see what can I do for that. Bad operand types, you cannot use this operator, is it? Oh, I have not used an equals. Okay, so we do not want that, it should be not equals to question mark. So let's hit the compile and run button again. So great, our output and expected output matches, right? So what is happening here is, let me give you a very quick dry run that what is happening here. That same thing, that for I equals to 0, the character array is getting changed into AA and X question mark B. And when you use the check function, it will see for I equals to 0 itself, it will found the violation point and the check will return false, right? So it will go for the second iteration, and now the character array will have this array A question mark B, and check function will be able to found no violation here, and it will return true. And when it returns true, we have coded in such way that it will return I plus 1, right? Because no point of violation left. So let us hit the submit button, and before it got submitted, I'll just tell you that it will get an TLE, right? Because the complexity is beyond 10 power 8. So great. So this is a very, like, if you say very good learning step or path. So this is actually also required in the interview side. You start with the brute force and go with the optimization. So we will optimize the code, but before moving ahead, if you are new to this channel and if you like my way of teaching, please subscribe it here, because it actually takes a lot of energy and patience to make the video. Okay, so let's move ahead with the optimization. So how do we optimize it now? Now if I ask you, then it will ask you that, okay, optimize it even further. Then you can see that what is the thing that you're doing again and again, right? The things that you are doing again and again, think in that direction, that what if I was able to do it just once, right? Or if I am able to just eliminate that step which is always recurring, right? Because if the step is happening just once, then you cannot neglect that step, right? So search for the step which is happening more than once, and I can see that for each and every iteration what I'm using is check function again and again, right? So what will be the optimization, right? So if I removed it, instead of checking again and again, but I need the count, that how many violations are there, right? So if I remove it, okay, so I said the answer in my question only. So I highly encourage you guys to pause this video now and think of a solution of O of n, right? O of n is given. in O of n or O of p, right? I have given you many hints. So please pause the solution and think of the approach. So I hope you were able to figure it out. So if not, then please continue the video, and in the long run, you will eventually be able to do so. So what I said, that eliminate the steps which are recurring. So this is the check function that is recurring, right? So let us eliminate the steps, but I need the count, right? So if I eliminate the steps, if I eliminate, but I need the count. I need the violation points, violation numbers, or I say total number of violations I need, right? So let us found that thing. If I am able to find the total number of violations, let me go to the paint section again, right? So let us do some dry run here. So it will be A, B, and B. So how many points of violation will be there? The pointer will be here, and I will say that it violates, right? So because I'm just checking for I equals to I plus 1, right? So this will be the first point of violation, this will be the second. So total point of violation, I mean TPOV, is 2, right? Okay. And total points of remediation, how can we remediate these steps? Remediation in the sense, like, how can we correct these steps, right? So what I can do is just I can run a for loop, right? I can run a for loop, and I can see for myself that the remediation step will be, let's say, run a for loop, and then we will decide. So it will be p dot length and I plus plus. Don't mind my handwriting, just follow the logic. So it will be that I have to do this thing. Okay, so let us say that what was the array? Let me take the array first. So the array was 2 2 1 and 3 0. So the array was 2 1 and 3 0, right? So that means that you have to change this b into a question mark, right? But I was always checking forward, right? Suppose it would have been the case that this was also b, right? This was also b, right? And let's say this was v. Let's say, let's assume, okay, let me write it separately. A, B, and B. So let's say this was B, but this was V, right? So the violation point will be just here, right? But when I'm changing to, I'm changing it to question mark, right? So do I need to just check that this thing, that P of I, did this P of I and P of I plus 1 matches, right? So it will say that it does not match, right? So I will not change this, but I know there is a violation. So that means I need to check backward also, that P of I, if it is, I have to see that if it is equals to P of I minus 1, and P of I in the sense the string of P of I, the string characters, right? This, like this, yeah. That if the previous character is also equal, maybe, as you can see that there may be a case, right? So that means I have to check two times, right? And how I can check that? I will just say that I will make the coordinates, right? So that the coordinates will be if P of I, let's say minus 1, right? So if we are checking minus 1, that it should be in the bounds of our string length, right? It should be in the bounds of string length. So, and the string length is n, right? So I can just say that if it is greater than equals to 0, and the Pi minus 1 is less than n. Why I'm not checking for P of I? Because it is already said in the question that it will be in the range of 0 to n minus 1. So that no need to check. So once I have, okay, P of I minus 1, I hope you're able to read this. This is P of I minus 1, this is P of minus 1. If it is in bound, then check it, that if array of P of I is equals to array of P of I minus 1. If that the case, that means there was a violation point, right? And I already got in this case the violation point as 1, in this case as violation point, sorry, in this case as 2, right? So okay, so talking about this case, it will be like just 1, and I will say that the violation point, let's name it as TPOV, the variable name as TPOV, TPONV. So I will just say that TPOV, okay, TPOV minus minus, right? Let's back to the our main case again, right? So this case is being handled now, right? Okay, so we see that we have to check back and forth for 2. So for A, B, B, I will check this as question mark, and my okay, so that thing, but here we have to check this question mark with the forward one, because the forward character is B, which is taking the violation, right? So for this case I have to write that if P of I plus 1 is greater than equals to 0, and then P of I plus 1 is less than n, we have taken care of that if it is inbound. And I will just say that if P of I is equals to array of p of I plus 1. If that's the case, then again do the total point of violation minus minus, right? And as you can see, the violation point was initially 2, but since I have changed this as question mark using this if, the first iteration will go here, right? And you will say that the string is now, it is now converted into AA question mark and B. So after this, if you have to the third line would be like to actually change it. So I will say that array of P of I is equals not equals to, just equals to question mark, right? And as soon as if the total point of violation equals to 0, then the things which you were doing, that return I plus 1, that will be your answer. So let's complete our dry run quickly, right? So the first for the first iteration, this if will be triggered, and for the second iteration, the question mark is pointing to 1, right? So this is our current string, and if we do the second iteration, the question mark will be coming here, a question mark b, right? And we are at this pointer, and at this pointer the violation is due to the previous character, right? So the second time this if will be triggered, right? This if will be triggered, and then again it will be this will if will be triggered, and the total point of violation for the second point, for the second iteration, it will be tpov equals to 0. That is, all the violations have been cleared. Now you can just return the number of steps you have just made, right? So that's the entire pseudocode, and I hope you were able to relate with me the logic and the dry run. And it's already been 21 minutes. So let's just code this thing and move ahead. And before moving ahead, what will be the time complexity? Since we have eliminated that check function, and the logic was whatever the steps are recurring, remove this. That's the problem skill of how you think in optimizing a problem, right? Okay, so the time complexity will be O of, okay, it will be O of P, right? And O of P is nothing but it has the range of n, that is 10 power 5. And in O of n solution with the space complexity of O of n, so that this is definitely less than 10 power 8, so it will not give us the TLE. So let us and start the code section. So let us uh, what do we need? We'll be not needing uh, hmm, we'll be actually needing this check, right? So okay, so let me copy this thing from here. Let me copy this thing, right? And let me remove all these things from here. Let me remove these things also from here, right? And yes, remove this also. So I will just check what is the total point of violation. So for that, I will say that int tpov, total point of violation, initially it was 0, and instead of doing this, I will say that tpov plus plus, right? And also I do not need this condition also, because already in the current string we do not have the question mark as of now, right? tpov plus plus, and if there is no point of violation, that is tpov is pointing to 0, if it is pointing to 0, then just return 0, that is no number of days is required, right? Now there goes a for loop, and for for loop we have to check two if, right? So let's say, so if p of I minus 1, this is for to check the backward characters, it should be in bound, right? So I will just check it should be in bound, that p of I minus 1 should be less than n, and array of p of I minus 1 is equals to, or I can say, let me write in the more conventional manner, array of p of I minus 1, right? If that's the case, then what you have to do, just reduce the point of violation, that tpov minus minus, right? I will write one more if, and after that if statement, what I will do, that I will actually change the characters now. So array of p of I will be equals to 1 question mark, right? So let me copy this statement again. So I will write, now it will be plus 1, it will be plus 1 here, and again it will be plus 1. I already showed you the dry run, that when and where the ifs are getting triggered, and I already showed you that why 2 ifs are required. Okay, so that is it. And if All the violations are cleared, right? If TPOV is equals to 0, then return the number of steps you made. So I will say that I plus 1, right? Because since it's 0 indexing, I have to start from the 1 indexing. Okay, and at last you just have to return 0 or anything because the return type isn't. However, this line will never get triggered. So let us see for ourselves. It's already been 25 minutes now. Again, if you're new to this channel, please like, share, and subscribe so that we can move, grow, and learn together. So that's it. Our output and expected output matches. So it's time to hit the submit button. And the time complexity will be O of P, that is 10 power 5, less than 10 power 8. And the space complexity is O of 1. So that is it. We are good to go. Great, guys. If you have been like tag along with me this long, I am sure you would have definitely learned something. And let's meet for the tomorrow's video of day 114. Few last thing, that's my DSR repository. You can get help with the source code as well as the syllabus down mentioned there. And that's my Instagram channel. You can connect me here anytime, as well on LinkedIn, as well as on the comment section. You can ask me any doubts if you may have regarding this concept. I will surely reply to you guys. I will try my best to resolve your doubts. And that's it. One more thing that I have completed my recursion playlist, so you can go and watch that because I have taken an initiative just for you guys that as well as for me also, so that I also be in touch with this four complex topics, that is recursion, graph, trees, and DP. Right. Rest of the topics are comparatively easier. You can learn by yourself, but these are topics where you'll be needing guidance and help. And once we complete that topics, we will get again shift back to our array linked list and all, right? But first we'll complete that. So the first topic of recursion, I've completed it. You can also view those things and get a good understanding of that. And that's it for today. Let's meet tomorrow. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and take care. Bye bye.